Welcome back. Last week, Vice President Mike Pence flew overseas in an effort to reinforce the United States' commitment to its security alliances. The Vice President began his trip in South Korea and mentioned that all options are on the table when it comes to dealing with North Korea. Colin, do you think the United States is gearing up for nuclear war with North Korea?
No.
Do you think they're gearing up for nuclear war with us?
Maybe, if they could actually get their missiles off the ground, which is
that might be a good start.
up in question. So that is a loaded question, and I think, although there's been a lot of flip-flopping, I think that the approach of talking to President Xi of China is the right approach, because the one country that can rein in North Korea is China.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because no matter how many sanctions we put on North Korea, if China is backfilling their economy and purchasing stuff from them and feeding supplies into them, sanctions are meaningless.
Right.
But
China is the one that can put sanctions on that are going to hurt.
Well, China could just stop supporting them, which is going to hurt absolutely.
Yeah, but we have leverage with China too, because they do so much business with us now that.
Well, and
here's where there's another,
I think
like Ivanka Trump's patents.
Well, and
I
don't think it was
that
any
didn't help.
accident that first bombing raid happened when he and the Chinese president were in Florida.
Mar-a-Lago.
Well, it could very well be.
Now,
Not
from
that it
the
helped.
Chinese standpoint, North Korea was a good pawn piece 30 years ago.
Now it's
Now it has become a complete thorn in their side.
an embarrassment. and
China
for-
is not, it has become something very different than what North Korea is.
Oh, absolutely.
They are a business power. They are rolling in money. They're making business deals all over the world. They're involved in all this commerce, and they have this little peon country that they supported for a long time because it was a useful chess piece that now is completely out of control. So I think if North Korea is going to go away as an international threat when China decides it's going to go away.
So Ken, let me return to a point for a second.
All right.
Wouldn't you have liked to have been a fly on the wall in that room in Florida when Trump stands up and says, "Excuse me, Mr. President, I got to go open up a can of whoop ass on North."
Or, not a fly on the wall, but one of the other multi-billionaires that
Yeah.
gets to go to Mar-a-Lago that's on a list that's not being released insofar as who's there.
Well, let's not go too far down that rabbit hole. That's a completely different topic. But I'm going to back up here a tiny bit and say, so I was a computer science major in college. So was Kim Jong-un. When I first saw,
No, you did not go to school to a private college in Switzerland, though.
no, I did go to
In all
school.
fairness.
I did go to school in a private college, yeah. But when I saw, oh hey, we've got a computer science major taking over an entire country, I thought, man, this might be great because he might revolutionize their tech industry. He might actually, realize how great it is to embrace capitalism opposed to the terrible political communism system they have, and then he completely failed me, and I was very disappointed.
Okay.
No,
So where do we go there from that?
in the worst definition of communism, I don't think you can really compare North Korea to being communist. As bad as communism may seem, it is a pure dictatorship. It
True.
is cult of personality. It is every single bad characterization you could offer about
Yeah.
a nation state could be offered about North Korea.
Right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's
But
nepotism and all like our new presidential.
I mean, ultimately, I think that at some point, Kim Jong-un's self-preservation has to kick in. He has to realize that, hey, he can't keep going down this path. He can't keep shaking the stick at us, because if he hits us with the stick, we're going to hit back with a lot bigger stick.
Yeah, but the basic thing is, and you can go back to all politics is local. Kim is trying to keep himself in power. He knows what a lot of people do, distractions, as we know very well here. It's the same sort of a thing here. They've done this for years. They keep doing these things. They have all these failures. I mean, the experts say they're still a long way from any kind of that they could count on. And the bigger fear is they're going to get annihilated themselves. And Kim is about preserving him and their dictatorship there. That's the main goal here. And if he can keep rattling the saber to his people, and that's how he gins them up, they have these parades. They do it every year. What's so different about this one? And I read some stories where they even have empty tubes that are missiles.
Yeah, they
going
have
so
fake
the heck
missiles in
knows,
They're
you
fake
know?
tubes.
in the parade.
Yeah.
And the whole
exactly.
point of it is that it's about his own people, but it's the rest of the world. But he's not, I don't think his people around him want to commit suicide by, launching a missile at the United States. They're going to go somewhere else first if they do
But
it.
you know, here's the problem. He has a captive audience, literally. Small but captive. I mean, literally captive.
They have no choice.
That he can brainwash.
They'll go to the
and
gulag if they're not captive.
He may have them convinced that he is the world's superpower.
Well, he might, but that's the whole point still is, look what happened to the Soviet Union. Look what happened to all of these particular institutions. They rot from within. And you figure they've gone down the food chain here, and I think, it's Darwinian in reverse evolution with the Kim Il, of the world. You're now down to the grandson, who is admittedly a little bit, we wonder. And I think that's going to do him in. I mean, he got his own brother killed.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, sooner or later, you can't keep doing that. Eventually, it's going to come.
Eventually, we would hope that eventually is sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
'cause
but
this
if we go
guy
in,
is
if we go in and do anything,
Oh, I'm not suggesting we go in and do it. The best
yeah.
best case is that there's a rising up internally, and
Well,
we
that is, and
support
let China
we
choke
support
'em.
the rise up.
yeah.
Well, and
we
that
don't-
hasn't happened for two reasons. One,
It's-
this is an extreme example, so nothing that happened in the Eastern Bloc, in the Soviet Union,
Yeah.
or in any of the other Warsaw countries, nothing that happened in Cuba,
doesn't
nothing
compare.
that happened in any other place on Earth compares to what has happened in North Korea. You have 60 or 70 years of complete control over all means of information, all means of media, all means of everything. Now, North Koreans and South Koreans, traditionally, prior to World War II, North Koreans on average were actually taller than South Koreans due to some local ethnic differences. North Koreans now are on average 1.5 to 2 feet
Right.
shorter than South Koreans. That's a result of
starvation.
60 years of
Right,
malnutrition.
and that's just what a couple generations.
Yeah,
really.
Well, that's right.
That's-
Sooner or
that's-
later, you
and
can't
they-
keep that model going.
Well,
I mean, there's
and
no
one of
way.
the things, if you ever pay attention to what happens when you have defectors that eventually make it either into China, or the ones that are truly lucky make it across the DMZ, which is almost impossible, into South Korea, they are incredulous once they're exposed to any sort of information outside of what they were fed in North Korea. So they have managed to control, they don't have to control the way people think, because they control what people consume as information.
Right, and that's my point. Literally brainwashing.
And so therein, I think, unless you have a truly dramatic situation where, let's say, all aid from China is cut off and they're literally starving, once you expose the population to starvation on a level where the social order starts to break down, and it doesn't matter what information they have, they're going to rise up. And that's the only way I
they're
think we're
going to
gonna
know
see
where
it.
to go.
Yeah.
If they do.
I would really hope that, maybe eventually sometime in the future, we figure out a way of dropping internet access to the people of
Well,
North
that's
Korea.
what I'm thinking. In
But
that
they have to have
case.
devices to access.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You drop a device that has the range.
Instead of doing the pamphlets, you drop
Oh,
the device.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
Instead of
That
dropping
literally.
pamphlets, you drop a device that has access
Literally.
to the internet.
It's a great idea.
And
Well,
that's
and
it.
information will, of course, unlock.
Yeah, and you set the homepage to Infowars.
Sunlight is the best.
And they'll see Bill O'Reilly.
They'll see Bill O'Reilly on his new gig.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant. So, I want to hear. We were talking about the fact that
Yeah.
you had your own thought
Well,
process
if
on
it was up to
foreign
me,
policy. Let's
one
hear
of
it.
the things of what we would do in terms of America's position in the world, I would get together an armada of ships and send them to a place like Syria off the coast. We're going to go in and get the refugees who want to go out, and we'll bring them here. And I'll tell you, that would do more for America's standing in the world than anything. We could give them air cover, the whole bit. Instead of dropping bombs on some, those people are still there. The darn, airfield's still there. Nothing's really changed.
Well, there's a couple buildings missing.
That doesn't matter to dying babies.
I understand that, but there's
But
a couple
this is
buildings,
what this is
and
how
there's
I
a
would
bunch
do
of
something like
airplanes
this.
in those. But honestly, I think that
That would
has
be a
some merit.
great-
But
it would
I
be
don't
a
know
great
how you
coup
do
for
that
the
because
United
that's pretty tough.
Of course it is, but I bet you the United States could figure that out.
I don't know. That's an interesting.
I don't
Why-
know.
why
We
couldn't you
still
do
haven't
it?
figured out our own homeless problem here in the U.S.
Yeah.
So,
Well, no, but
And how do
we're
you
the
vet-
richest
that's gonna be a
country
problem.
How do you
in the
do the
world. We are
extreme
the
vetting?
richest country in the world.
How do you do the extreme?
The same
vetting?
way they're doing it now.
Okay.
Utah's kind of empty.
Yeah, we got plenty of room here, and those are
They're
the
polygamists.
that would be
Fit
the
in.
best thing the United States could do for its standing in the world and our own people. I think, it's a lot better to feel good that way than to feel good that you sent 59 Tomahawk missiles, and Brian Williams is there on TV. Isn't this beautiful? It's not beautiful. Killing is not beautiful. Saving is beautiful.
They do look kind of neat when they're taken off, though. It's kind of like a fireworks show.
Dude, look at it, but that's ridiculous when you think about it.
And with your quote of the day, we will end this segment. Next up on the flip side, our panel takes a closer look at overtime pay in Maryland. Stay tuned. We're back in 3 minutes.